So today we have Brian Miller, founder and managing director of U-Fraction 8. U-Fraction 8 builds products around a disruptive new liquid particle processing technology, providing scalable, efficient bioprocessing, a technology that they believe will be the key to unlock a prosperous and sustainable future. Wow. So, Brian, welcome.
Thank you.
What can you tell us a little bit more, what you do and how long you've been doing this for?
Sure. So this technology came out of work I did for my PhD at the University of Edinburgh, and it was really looking at problems where we wanted to apply microfluidics, which are very, very small pieces of technology, let's say, but at a very large scale or a large volume. And the problem with that is that you can't really just make them bigger because they stop working. So really the only approach that will allow you to, let's say, leverage the power of microfluidics at a larger scale is by parallelization or multiplication of these very small things. We basically patented a method of stacking these very small devices together. For example, we might have 750 or more devices in a stack, and then we have a unique way of coupling them, which allows them all to function the same way, even though they're sort of in this configuration. Now, originally, we were looking at applications like water monitoring or sort of environmental monitoring, but it actually turns out that there's some really, really good benefits we can offer for people that use cell biology to produce products. So we always start with thinking about beer, how that's made with yeast, but actually there's thousands and thousands of products that can be made using different types of microbes. And the one that we're focusing on right now is actually cultivated meat or no-kill meat. So the way that that works is you can take some cells out of an animal, like say a cow, and separate out special cells that can be turned into stem cells. And these cells can then be turned back into any kind of cell that you want. So what happens is you take these cells out, you separate those, and then you exploit the property of exponential growth, because again, they divide into 2, then 4, then 8, and that's really the fastest mechanism to grow biology that exists. You can imagine, your puppy turns into what looks like a dog in less than a year. It's really fast. So yeah, we're focusing our efforts in that space because, like I say, we have some low shear properties, low energy properties, and the fact that we can, let's say, scale our technology up and down very easily to target different sizes of cells and aggregates of cells is really very different than what's on the market at the moment. And also, we started to demonstrate that we can scale this not just into one block or module, but we can put lots and lots of modules working together. So again, we're scaling it kind of how computers and computing processing power scales in a data center, yes. But instead of processing data, we're processing liquid or cell culture. So we have a rackable system we've developed, and yeah, we're starting to try and get it out for deployment. And how long have we been doing this? Well, like I said, I started my PhD over 10 years ago, developed the technology, and then I was lucky enough to meet my co-founder, Monica Tometska, at an accelerator program in London. Now, I'm an engineer. I do all the technical stuff, and she's a biologist. She had a PhD in biomedical sciences, essentially. So together, we've just been working really, really hard in the company, which has been just over 6 years, to get this technology working to a level that it can go out and actually change the world.
Wow. And so who is your ideal client?
So we are already working with some people. I can't name names, but yes, there are some very well-funded companies. For example, there's a company that Nestle's put in, almost 400 million US dollars. They're trying to scale out now. They face challenges which we're trying to address. There's other companies all around the world. Like Singapore has been a hub of cultivated meat. You can already buy what they call lab-grown chicken nuggets in some of the restaurants there. The USA also has just had the FDA approval for these clean meats or cultured meats to be put up for sale. So we're currently working closer to home here in Europe, but we are familiar and speaking with companies all over the world, to be honest.
So these are companies in the supply chain.
These are the people that are angling to become the base producer. You can call them the cell farmers. So companies like Meatable, Believer Meats, Mosa Meats, but there are lots. Trust me, there are a lot of people. And the cool thing about this is that it's not just your standard farm animals that you can do this with. You know, there's people trying to make caviar from sturgeon. There's a company in Australia, I think, did some cloning and made mammal meatballs, not for consumption, but just as an example that you can truly apply this to almost any animal that's ever existed if you can get the right genetic codes essentially to clone them out. Now that's, you know, we're talking quite far away where you might be able to munch on a T-Rex steak or something like that. But these days, you know, there's people trying to make lamb, doner kebab type style meats, the chicken nuggets that you're maybe familiar with, burgers. So we're starting with, let's say, the easy targets, but those that are consumed in huge quantities around the world. So, you know, kebabs and burgers make up a huge percentage of the consumed meat on the planet. And then as we progress and as the technology goes forward, we're hoping to see more and more, let's say, cool things that you can do to make very delicious.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So is this something you always wanted to do since you were growing up, or how did all this come into your head?
Okay, well, no. When I was a kid, I think the one thing that I can say is I really loved machines and machinery, and I wanted, for example, when I was I think 6 or 7 years old, I was like, I wanted to get a license to operate every kind of vehicle there is. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to ride motorcycles. I wanted to drive trucks and diggers and just any big machine. I was like, I want to, you know, be a part of that. Now, over the years, obviously, things have changed and focused somewhat. A lot of it was just through the course of my studies. So I did do previously a bachelor's in mechatronics, and I got a job working on gas turbine systems, which all was very comfortable. But I first discovered microfluidics doing an internship with a company called Lab 901. It's now part of Agilent, but I did some like prototyping, got some hands-on, and I guess there I kind of saw the potential. And again, all of the technologies I worked with till then are things that have been around for 50 plus years. You know, it's all incremental gains. Whereas this world of microfluidics, it was like really pioneering. There's lots of things still to discover and new applications to be developed. And it was much more, let's say, creative in a way, and that there was a lot more, let's say, potential, unrealized potential in that space. So I decided to retrain and got my PhD in microfluidic systems.
Yeah, wow, very impressive, very impressive. What's your biggest learnings if you've been a business owner?
How naive most people are when they start a company, I guess. Like you can cycle around the world in 80 days if you plan it right. In fact, I met a guy who did exactly that. And you know, you can climb Mount Everest again in a month or two's time. Okay, you need to train before and get yourself prepared. But you know, starting a company is like running a marathon for years. It's like it just doesn't stop. And if you do stop, it's because your company's dead. So I guess just understanding the scale of the task at hand of trying to actually get a new technology, especially based in hardware, like from infancy to actual maturity and impact, let's say, it's a long, grueling journey. And you just have to take each day as it comes.
Yes. So talking about a long journey, you know, I love what you said about this. Running a business is like running a marathon for years. Okay, so you need to have some base camps, you know, kind of thing,
Absolutely.
to recharge and recover. What are your aspirations for the company for the next 5 years?
Well, over the next 2 years, what we're trying to do is get from sort of proof of concept to at scale pilot demo. So we've already done some initial testing and the results look really promising. And again, we've kind of demonstrated each of the features that we need, but individually. So the next 2 years is all about putting all of those features together, working in synchronous, basically. And then at the end of that, basically we'll be able to work with a customer, with a client, and show the benefits we can deliver on, let's say, a 10,000 or 10-ton like production facility. And that should output 10 tons a month, right? So we're talking 120 tons a year. And that'll be, let's say, our first, let's say, commercial pilot system. Then the idea is to get some bigger corporates involved, whether that's through a joint venture, joint development program. Really, again, I got into this not so much to make a huge money or make a spanning empire company, but to deliver impact and make this technology, make the potential real, right? Realize the potential, make things better, right? And that's exactly what we're trying to do. So I think the best way to go about that is to get the people who already have huge engineering teams, already have distribution network sales teams, come on board, see that we can deliver, you know, excellent value in this space, and then I guess hand over somewhat and let them guide us to this huge impact. Yeah. Now, whether that's best done through raising a Series A and a Series B and starting to actually, let's say, become a producer, or whether that's to license or sell the entire company into somebody who can already do it, that's still to be determined. And I guess we'll be trying to focus on that as we develop the technology for this commercial pilot.
Okay. And to do all this, who is helping you with this? How many people do you have in the team to help you achieve?
Okay, so it started with just me and Monica for the first couple of years, and we've slowly grown, including opening a subsidiary company in the EU. So we have a Polish subsidiary that Monica leads up because she's Polish. And between two companies, we have about 13 full-time now from 2. We also have recently recruited a high-level executive chair onto our board. He's worked at Novozymes, which is a massive biotech company that's been hugely successful. He was at an executive level for over 15 years. And then we have our investors on the board as well. So Blue Horizon and Thea Ventures. They're both very much focused on sustainable food systems and trying to make that happen for the world. So everyone's like got great alignment. I guess if you include the board and the pool of employees, it's about 17 of us on the journey right now. And hopefully soon that'll be expanding to 20, 25, and then potentially more.
And are you recruiting at the moment? Have you been recruiting in the past 12 months?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Recruitment can be very challenging.
Yes.
I remember in a business training course I was in, one of the mentors said, hire slowly, fire quickly. And basically it's to do with, if you recognize that someone's not a good fit on the team, don't try and keep them, or try and just find the right person. And that can be really challenging. It can take a lot of time.
Yes.
But I have to say, we have been super lucky with growing our team. Every single person in Fractionate is
brilliant.
A legend.
Yeah, that mantra is wonderful. Is slow to recruit, fast to fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And parallel to that, Brian, is recruit, attitude, train, skill. Attitude will eat skill for breakfast anytime. Getting the people with the right attitude, you can always upskill them. But if you get the wrong attitude with the right skill, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's just a shame it abbreviates to RATS.
What was that?
The abbreviation would be RATS.
Yeah.
Recruit, attitude, train, skill.
Yeah. Interesting. You know that one. So what's the biggest challenge you have at the moment in this marathon you are running?
That is a tough one. There's always challenges. I think right now is just about trying to find the resources at the right magnitude at the right time, right? So we've done a great job. We raised a seed round end of 21. In order to get to this commercial pilot, we really need to bring in another fundraise, which we've just started kicking off right now. But again, I think we got, really lucky with the investors that we've got on our cap table at the moment, in that the alignment is perfect, right? So it's about trying to tease out the right funder that understands not only the value we can bring, but what it's going to take in terms of resource to actually get us there. So yeah, finding that right investor, or the right, let's say, helper, right?
Brilliant. So if you were just to wrap up a little bit, but before I ask the wrapping up question, what do you have any advice for your 18-year-old self?
I saw this question on the list. So I was like, the only thing I can think of is buy Bitcoin, buy loads of Bitcoin and hold on to them for 10 years. And then, if money was the object of life, I mean, if only you'd known at the beginning. Did you hear about was it $10 million pizza that was ordered, like right at the beginning? Somebody, yeah. So just, I guess the world can change so fast. If you knew in advance a few key pieces of information,
Big if, yes.
Well, nobody can predict the future, right?
Yes. Good. Okay, so for the people who might be watching this recording, maybe is there anything you want to share that whether it's possible funders that you are looking for or future clients? What will I do? Is there any any news or events or that you want to share?
I'm actually going to several events. The Hack Summit in Switzerland. There's an EIT food event happening in the Netherlands, and then there's also a future food session in Sweden I'm going to. So if anyone's attending those events, again, it's all, let's say, about the sustainable food systems, right? And any event of that kind is where you'll find me or my co-founder Monica. But yeah, in terms of finding the right funder, just like it's going to happen. When a company like Nestle invests almost $500 million into a space, it's coming, right?
Yeah.
I say no one can predict the future, but people with power can carve the future, and the people in those positions, global, massive conglomerates are saying, yeah, we recognize that there's a problem where they're not going to be able to keep making money when the world is starving because there's not enough food being made. And so they're investing now. And when that happens, change is coming. So
wonderful. So maybe for those watching, if anybody wants to invest in your business, it could be the equivalent of buying Bitcoin. It's
well,
they get involved in the early days.
I like to think so. I honestly believe that we can offer value that no other technology can. And yeah, I don't want to go too long on about it, but it's quite funny because we were not focused on this space when we started 6 years ago. This space barely even existed.
Yeah.
We were much more focused on things like microalgae,
Yes.
and biopharmaceuticals, both of which, again, we have a play that we can
Yes.
make efficiency gains. But in this space, like it needs a solution, and we have that solution, and nobody else does. So I guess when you look at it from a business perspective, it's like, if we solve their problem now, for eternity, that this is going to be the way that it gets solved. You know, you don't reinvent the airplane.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love that. So, well, Brian, thank you very much for, it's been a real pleasure to have you join us today at Business Spotlight, and for sharing your experience and wisdom and candor with us today. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed it.